Our theme this month has been wholeness, and what the topic that our young people chose for today is that wholeness comes from within. Wholeness comes from within. And I want to say that that really is the notion that's behind all the things that you were hearing that was happening at teen camp. Wholeness comes from within. We were talking last week about the fact that so many of us sometimes feel like there's a hole in us, an H-O-L-E, like there's something missing or we're not enough. And the media, and particularly advertising, really pushes that. It prays and exploits that concept to make us think that there really is something missing, and if we just do this one thing, if we just buy this one thing, if we have this one gadget, if we have this one experience, then suddenly we're going to feel okay. So we wind up in this life where we're constantly chasing the next thing, trying to make ourselves feel whole, W-H-O-L-E, filling up the hole with stuff, with people, places, and things and stuff. But wholeness doesn't come from having more toys, more video games, more external things or experience. It's an inside job. The only way that we can ever feel complete is when we dare, in fact, to go inside. I cannot impress that enough, that the wholeness comes from within. In Scripture, one of the most famous things that Jesus is known for saying is that your faith has made you whole. Your faith. This word faith that's used in Scripture is the same word for belief. Your belief, it is done unto you as you believe. Your mind chatter, what it is that you are thinking about yourself is what makes you whole. Now, unfortunately, too many of us are thinking inside what we feel like other people are thinking about us. Okay? So it's like we're listening to other people, we're looking at how other people treat us, we're trying to figure out what the other people think about us that then tells us what to think about us. Okay? So we're getting our cues from outside. So we have somebody, let's say it's our friend, and they say something that's curt to us, or that's a little bit rude, or maybe it's a sibling, maybe it's a brother or sister or something like that. And it does this little quick thing. At first, the question that most of us ask is, well, what's wrong with them? But that quickly turns into, well, what's wrong with me? Listen to that. What's wrong with them? Why are they so blah, blah, blah? But then what's wrong with me? Do I really deserve this? Did I do something to deserve this? Either I did, I think that I don't do, but then there's all this internal chatter that goes on. And it's the most interesting thing that we can feel it. That moment that we stop feeling whole with the W, and it starts to feel like a whole. Within us, it starts to feel like a lot of separation. You hear us say all the time, the only thing that ever needs to be healed is just a sense of separation. It starts to feel like an internal battle going on, where the battle that we're wanting to have with the other people, we're actually having inside ourselves. We're actually having the argument inside of ourselves. We can hear them talking, and we're answering back. They aren't even in the room. I call it the mirror fight. It's like we're going on, and we're doing the and nobody's in my little head but me. Nobody's in my little head but me. And here's the thing. Nobody is in your head but you. You can't control what people say out here, but you do get to control how much you replay it. Like a constant rewind. If you didn't like it the first time, why keep looking at it? Do you watch a bad movie over and over again? Do you keep listening to a song? Do you put a song on your playlist that you think sucks, the big one? But it's like we have a playlist that's going on in our minds, where we have combined on the playlist all the nasty things, all the most horrid things, all the stuff that we don't even like. We just make a whole collage out of it. And beep, that's what's coming up. Got it plugged into our ears. We can't even hear anything else. You know, the woe is me song, the what did I do wrong, the they're so bad song, the where's it going to be enough, over and over and over again. But that's us. That offense took 2 seconds, 2 hours later, 2 days later, 2 months later, 2 years, and trust me when I'm saying 20 years later, 20 years after that, 20 years, it's still playing. Okay? But it doesn't have to be that way because we have control. Everything is energy, and you can literally feel it. When we start to feel whole, W-H-O-L-E, there's a sense of a way that it's all together. Okay? It almost is like a bringing in and a going out. It's like all of me has come in and all of me is full and able to go out. When we're not feeling whole, it feels like we're falling apart. Feels like bits and pieces of us are hanging off over here or falling off over there, and we can't gather it all up, and it's out there and we're trying to grab, but it doesn't feel like it's like all right here. When we start to feel whole with a W-H-O-L-E, energetically, it feels like a higher vibration. Like literally, it feels like you're going up and up. The more whole you feel. In fact, sometimes you actually start jumping up and down. Like when we're happy, we're doing this. Okay? But when we're not feeling whole and we're feeling separate, and we're getting down in the dumps and fragmented, it feels weighty. Like, we're slouching, we're moping around. We don't have that bounce anymore because that energy starts to feel heavy. Tense, like we got a rock. It's like carrying us around like this. Okay? So you can feel it. You can feel it. And at that moment, we know we have choice. Okay? At that moment, we know we have choice. We get to choose whether life is like this. Or we get to choose, hey, life is like this. Okay? But that's our choice. Why? Because the wholeness is within. It's within. Isn't that a wonderful thing to know? That it doesn't matter what anybody else has done. It doesn't matter what anybody else is thinking. It doesn't matter what anything else is going on, that I have the right where I am, to be okay with me. I don't need you to be okay with me to be okay with me. I don't need you to be okay with me. So it winds up happening when I'm not okay with me, instead of me getting to the point where I feel okay with me, I'm worrying you to death to try to get you to like me. I'm running around trying to get into the club, trying to get accepted, trying to be on the team, trying to get invited to the party, like all these other things out there that I think are going to make the difference. But you know what? It never does. Listen to what I'm saying. It never does. Until you tell yourself you're okay with you, you'll just be at the party feeling like a fraud. You'll be on the team wondering when you're going to get kicked off. You won't be able to trust the friends because it's inside. And the wonderful thing about this is that it's always been there. Your wholeness has always been there. It's not something that we've got to make. It's not something that we have to create. We just have to see it. That's what we have to do. We have to see it. Have you ever, maybe the rest of you are neater than I am, but a lot of times the thing I really wanted, like the toy or whatnot I really wanted, was buried underneath a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay? And I'd have to dig through whatever, the clothes, the other, to find what's underneath there. Well, that's how it is. The beautiful whole you is right there. It's always been there, but we put this other stuff on top. Jealousy, resentment, fear, worry, doubt. But it's not you. It's not you. It's like mud on the windshield. It gets crusty, yeah, but it washes off. Okay? It washes off with love. It washes off with compassion. It washes off with acceptance. And you know the biggest thing, I'm going to let you in a little secret. The biggest thing that can get you to feeling whole and put that little bounce up in your step, gratitude. Gratitude is the secret. Gratitude is the key. Okay? It's when we start to feel thankful. Thankful. Because no matter how bad it is, no matter how whatever, there is always something to be thankful for. Always something. It's a redirect of your consciousness. It's a real redirect of your focus. It's as though, you know how a balloon gets flat after a little while? Gratitude like pumps air up in there and starts to make us feel bigger. Gratitude helps to get this into feeling lighter and lighter, lighter. Just breathe that in for a moment. Lighter and lighter. Give thanks. Give thanks. This is where your memory can work. So I said before that what we tend to do is make a playlist of all the bad and negative stuff. But what do you think would happen if you made a playlist of all the good stuff? What do you think would happen if in your mind you had a string going on of all the times when you experienced love or were loving? All the times of compassion and caring and sharing and joy and fulfillment and creativity. What if that was the loop that was going on in your mind? You'd feel this thing called wholeness. So the difference between whether we feel like there's just a hole or whether we feel whole is what's that loop that's going around in our head? What is it? What is it? You're going to think something anyway. You're going to think something anyway. And I'm going to leave you on this one. The way that our brain works that whatever you put in front of your mind for the last 45 minutes before you go to sleep, your brain repeats 14 times more than what it does at any other time of the day. Just think about that. Whatever you put in front of you the 45 minutes before you go to sleep, because when you're asleep, your brain doesn't stop. Oh, no. When we're asleep, it's still going. And because there's no conscious resistance, whatever those imprints that we have are really just looping and looping and looping. Are you with me? So you want to be extra careful the stuff that you fall asleep on. Don't go to bed angry. Clean it up. Don't look at all the bad news and all that stuff right before you go to bed. Clean it up. Okay? That's the time to plant in your mind the good stuff. See, our society believes that the day starts in the morning. Okay? So I grew up very Christian. Jesus was Jewish. They were on a lunar clock. They were on a lunar clock. So the first hour was not like how we do it. It's in the evening. It's 6 p.m. The 11th hour is 5 p.m. The 11th hour is like the last day, the last hour there. So that even now in Hebrew tradition, they're celebrating their Sabbath on the Friday, on Saturday, but it starts Friday night. With this understanding that you're cultivating your mind. Think about that. Your day doesn't start when you wake up. Your day starts right before you go to sleep. Listen to what I'm saying. Your day starts right before you go to sleep because you will awaken to whatever your thoughts were through the night. You don't wake up with like fresh thoughts in the morning. You wake up with whatever you were telling yourself all through the night. Okay. So make that work for you. Before you go to bed. That's the time. Before you go to bed, make sure you get into your gratitude. Cultivate, cultivate, so that you are ready for the next day to feel all your wholeness. Yes? Yes.